In today's hyper-connected world, we're told to chase everything: attention, validation, people. But what if true peace comes not from holding on, but from letting go? Society celebrates hustle and emotional investment, yet silently punishes those who detach for their own sanity. Isn't it time we flip the script? If you've ever been told that letting go makes you cold or heartless, this video will challenge everything you thought you knew about strength. Welcome to StoicCraft. This channel unpacks timeless Stoic wisdom and psychological insights to help you master yourself in a world that profits off your chaos. Letting go. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's one of the hardest things we can do. Whether it's people, past experiences, or overwhelming situations, the act of releasing something we're deeply attached to can feel like losing a part of ourselves. But here's the truth: holding on too tightly often causes more suffering than letting go ever will. Learning to let go isn't about detaching from life. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that keep you stuck. In this episode, we're diving into how to let go of people and situations using insights from Stoic philosophy. And this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Modern psychology, you'll learn how to unlock the power of detachment, when to step back for mental clarity, and how to set healthy emotional boundaries. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means making space for what truly matters. By letting go, you don't lose control. You gain the freedom to focus on what truly matters. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to release what no longer serves you and move forward with a lighter heart, greater peace of mind, and a renewed sense of purpose. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Unlocking the power of detachment. When most people hear the "tease, it's also greater," this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Modern word, detachment. They assume it means apathy or indifference, caring less, feeling less, or withdrawing from life. But in truth, detachment is not about removing emotions. It's about freeing yourself from the need to control things you can't control. It's about maintaining your inner peace regardless of what happens around you. Attachment often comes from fear of losing people, situations, or even versions of ourselves. But the irony is, the tighter we hold on to something, the more it controls us. When we become overly insides to truly elect why, this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Word detachment. They assume it means apathy or indifference, caring less, feeling less, or withdrawing from life. But in truth, detachment is not about removing emotions. It's about freeing yourself from the need to control things you can't control. It's about maintaining your inner peace regardless of what happens around you. Attachment often comes from fear of losing people, situations, or even versions of ourselves. But the irony is, the tighter we hold on to something, the more it controls us. When we become overly, this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Attached, we tie our happiness to external factors, other people's opinions, the outcome of a situation, or material possessions. And when those things change or slip away, as they inevitably do, we suffer. Stoicism teaches that true freedom comes not from controlling everything around us, but from controlling how we respond. Epicus, a Stoic philosopher, famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Detachment in this sense, doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You stop expecting life to conform perfectly to God. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance or in peace, and instead you learn to adapt, to flow with change rather than resist it. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you grip it too tightly, most of it slips through your fingers, but if you hold it gently, it stays in your palm. This is the essence of detachment. It's not about pushing things away. It's about holding them lightly without letting them define your inner state. To unlock the power of detachment, start by asking yourself, what am I clinging to that's causing me stress or anxiety? It could be a relationship where you feel overly responsible for the end. So floor on there, Georges, to place of life lessons late. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. A detachment, your other person's happiness, a situation at work where you're trying to control every outcome, or even a past event that you can't seem to let go of. Recognizing what you're attached to is the first step toward releasing its hold on you. Next, practice mindful acceptance. This doesn't mean passively accepting everything that happens. It means acknowledging what's outside your control and choosing how to respond. For example, if someone's behavior is upsetting you, instead of trying to change them, focus on setting boundaries. Freedom, your Georges, changes once. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on and managing your own emotions. You can care deeply about someone while still maintaining a healthy level of emotional detachment. Here's something practical you can do each day. Take 5 minutes to reflect on one thing you're attached to that's causing you stress. Ask yourself, is this something I can control, or is it something I need to let go of? If it's outside your control, practice mentally releasing it by saying, I choose to let go of what I cannot control. This simple exercise helps train your mind to focus on what matters. And this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Let go of unnecessary burdens. Ask yourself, am I holding on because I truly care, or because I'm afraid of what will happen if I let go? Fear-based attachment only leads to suffering, while healthy detachment creates space for growth, freedom, and peace. Remember, detachment isn't about abandoning people or responsibilities. It's about protecting your inner world from being thrown into chaos by external events. It's about showing up fully, but without clinging to outcomes. When you unlock the power of detachment, you begin to experience life with greater clarity, balance. And this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Emotional resilience. You free yourself from the weight of things you cannot control, and in doing so, you find a lighter, more peaceful way to live. Lesson 2. Stepping back for mental clarity when life feels overwhelming. When emotions are high and your mind is clouded, it's easy to react impulsively, make poor decisions, or let stress take over. In these moments, one of the most powerful things you can do is step back. Taking a step back isn't about avoidance. It's about creating space between your emotions and your actions so you can fake your mail on ever-long transportations, making a lenient stable being to create and releasing you stress. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Gain mental clarity when you're caught up in the intensity of a situation. Everything feels urgent. Your mind races with thoughts. Your emotions escalate, and it becomes harder to think clearly. But by pausing and stepping back, whether physically, mentally, or emotionally, you give yourself the opportunity to see the situation from a different perspective. This practice helps you respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Imagine a painter standing too close to their canvas. Up close, all they see are individual brush strokes and small imperfections, making it difficult to see the beginning torts of they draw. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and understand the full picture. But when they take a few steps back, they gain a clearer view of the entire painting. The same principle applies to your mind when you step back from overwhelming situations. You gain perspective. You can see the problem for what it really is, rather than through the distorted lens of heightened emotions. Stepping back can be as simple as taking a deep breath, going for a short walk, or even journaling your thoughts. These small actions create mental distance, allowing your emotions to settle and your mind to regain its balance. Once you've created this idea, becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance that distance. You're in a better position to reflect on what's truly happening and decide how to respond in a way that aligns with your values. Stoicism teaches us that clarity comes from calmness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." By stepping back, you take control of your mind, refusing to let external chaos dictate your internal state. This is where real strength lies. Not in controlling every situation, but in controlling how you perceive and respond to it. Here's this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Something practical you can do the next time you feel overwhelmed by a situation. Practice the pause technique before reacting. Pause for 10 seconds. Take a deep breath. Count to 10, or simply close your eyes for a moment. In that brief pause, ask yourself, what's the best response here? Not the quickest or easiest, but the one that aligns with who I want to be. This small practice can drastically improve your ability to make thoughtful, clear decisions. Another method is perspective journaling. When you're feeling stuck or emotionally charged, take 5 to 10 minutes to write this idea. Becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Soothe down your thoughts as if you were giving advice to a friend in the same situation. This practice helps you step outside your emotions and view the problem from a more objective angle. Ask yourself, am I too close to this situation to see it clearly? If the answer is yes, step back. Give yourself the time and space to reflect. Not every situation requires an immediate reaction, and often the wisest actions come after moments of calm reflection. Remember, stepping back isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It's a deliberate act of choosing clarity over chaos. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth offers reflection over reaction. By making it a habit to step back when things feel overwhelming, you cultivate a calmer, more thoughtful approach to life. You learn to see challenges for what they are, temporary obstacles, not permanent problems, and in doing so, you regain control over your mind and your emotions. When you master the art of stepping back, you not only make better decisions, You also create a life where peace of mind becomes your default state, no matter what storms life throws your way. Lesson 3. Deciding when to distance yourself. One of the hardest decisions we miss, StoicCraft with you. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. When the decisions can't face in life is knowing when to distance ourselves from people or situations, whether it's a draining relationship, a toxic work environment, or even a personal habit that no longer serves you. Holding on too long can take a toll on your emotional health. But how do you know when it's time to create that distance? And, more importantly, how can you do it in a way that aligns with your values and preserves your peace? The first step in making this decision is self-awareness. Ask yourself, is this relationship or situation helping me grow, or is it holding me back? This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Growth doesn't always feel comfortable, so it's important to distinguish between temporary discomfort that leads to improvement and persistent negativity that drains your energy. If something consistently leaves you feeling anxious, unappreciated, or diminished, it might be time to consider creating distance. Many people struggle with distancing themselves because of guilt. You may feel responsible for other people's feelings, or worry that creating distance makes you a bad person. But the truth is, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary for you feel. For the scene you have to be smashing when this order from the Essence-fold a song associations with other best passage, performs gauge to feeling YouTube survaluates to with NCB2 peace free. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Maintaining your well-being. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control other people, only our own actions and choices. Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Distancing yourself is a response, a deliberate act of protecting your emotional health. It's also helpful to reflect on your values. Does staying in this situation or relationship align with who you want to be? Sometimes we stay in unhealthy dynamics out of habit or fear of change. But if staying means compromising your values being your guilt, values or well-being, it's worth considering a different path. Remember, creating distance doesn't mean you're abandoning someone or giving up. It means you're choosing to prioritize your peace and personal growth. Once you've decided it's time to create distance, the next step is to do it quietly and respectfully. There's no need for grand declarations or confrontations unless they're absolutely necessary. In many cases, simply spending less time with a person or gradually disengaging from a situation is enough. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. And the member of creating this approach allows you to protect your energy without adding unnecessary drama. Here's something practical you can do if you're unsure whether it's time to distance yourself. Try a trial separation. Give yourself a set period, say 2 weeks, where you intentionally limit your engagement with the person or situation. During this time, pay attention to how you feel. Are you calmer, more focused? Do you miss the interaction, or do you feel relieved without it? This trial period can provide valuable insight into whether creating permanent distance is the right choice. Ask yourself, am I staying out of obligation? This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance, or because this truly adds value to my life. If the answer leans toward obligation or guilt, it might be time to take a step back. Remember, you can care about someone and still choose to protect your boundaries. Distance doesn't erase love or respect. It preserves your well-being. Another key factor to consider is communication. While quiet distancing works in many cases, some situations may require an honest conversation. If the relationship is worth preserving but needs adjustment, consider expressing your feelings and setting clear boundaries. Boundaries. Sometimes creating distance isn't about answer. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Cutting ties. It's about redefining the relationship in a way that works for both parties. Remember, deciding when to distance yourself is about choosing what serves your growth and well-being. It's not about blame or resentment. It's about creating space for clarity, peace, and personal development. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you make room for healthier relationships, better opportunities, and a life that aligns with your values. Ultimately, life is too short to stay stuck in situations that drain your. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often energy by learning when and how to distance yourself. You take an important step toward living with greater purpose, peace, and self-respect. Lesson 4. Building trust through meaningful conversations. When life feels overwhelming, one of the most powerful ways to find clarity and emotional relief is by engaging in deep, meaningful conversations with trusted individuals. Human connection isn't just a source of comfort, it's a path to insight, growth, and emotional healing. Talking through your feelings with someone you trust can revive affection with gold with someone that it trusts. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Here you curse on time, with structure reflex unrealizing contract, right screen, help you gain new perspectives, challenge negative thought patterns, and uncover solutions you may not have considered on your own. But here's the key. Not every conversation builds trust. Surface level, small talk, or exchanges filled with judgment don't lead to real connection. Trust is built when conversations are honest, vulnerable, and supportive, when both parties feel safe enough to share without fear of being misunderstood or criticized. It's about opening up, but also about listening deeply and without judgment. If it's a positive euphumancy for God, your trust about faith it. Your Sun School team, that's in Stoic philosophy. Trust your fail so you in not stay all. You luck so cost for some math and revive it. You not be used for years. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. You think presentations, time, and open dialogue were seen as essential for personal growth. The Stoics valued conversations that challenge their thinking in a respectful and thoughtful way. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." In other words, seek out people who encourage your growth, not just those who echo your thoughts live. Contrast have meaningful conversations aren't just about venting. They're about learning, reflecting, and evolving. To build trust through conversations, it's important to find the only case with see if you have. Trust your think and gain secrets you not to see. You cane the venting and warful and your father life. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. You don't try to live your powerful only new mean from making filled with Saphin and revive it. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. True growth often lies in the release. Find you only secrets with leader on time or create an environment of mutual respect and empathy. This means listening without interrupting, validating the other person's feelings and offering support rather than unsolicited advice. Often, people don't need solutions, they need to feel heard and understood. Loud helps you organize them, and hearing an outside perspective can offer insights you may have missed. Just make sure the person you're opening up to is someone who respects your boundaries and offers a safe space for sharing. Here's something practical you can do. Identify 1 or 2 people in your life whom you trust deeply. The next time you feel stuck or overwhelmed, reach out to them for a meaningful conversation. Start by saying something like, "I've been feeling confused, overwhelmed about something, and I'd really value your perspective," or "just someone to talk to." Framing this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Conversation this way invites them to listen without feeling pressured to solve the problem at the same time. Be open to offering support when someone comes to you. Building trust is a two-way street. It's about giving as much as receiving. Practice being present, listening actively, and offering empathy. When someone shares their struggles with you, this reciprocity deepens the connection and creates a foundation of trust that benefits both of you. Ask yourself, do I have trusted individuals in my life with whom I can share? This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Have meaningful conversations if the answer is yes. Nurture those relationships if not. Consider seeking out new connections through supportive communities, groups, or even professional networks where trust and open dialogue are valued. Remember, trust isn't built overnight. It's cultivated through repeated acts of vulnerability, empathy, and understanding. By engaging in meaningful conversations, you not only gain clarity and emotional relief, but you also strengthen the bonds that support you through life's ups and downs. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. As well. In a world filled with surface-level interactions, meaningful conversations are a rare and valuable gift. They remind you that you're not alone, help you see things from a new perspective, and provide the emotional support needed to navigate challenging times. By building trust and fostering open dialogue, you create a network of connection and strength that sustains you through life's inevitable uncertainties. Lesson 5. Mastering emotional boundaries. Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed by someone else's argument? This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Emotions absorbing their stress, anxiety, or negativity as if it were your own. If so, you're not alone. Many people struggle with emotional boundaries, the invisible lines that separate your emotions from those of others. Without these boundaries, it's easy to feel drained, lose your sense of self, and become entangled in problems that aren't yours to solve. Mastering emotional boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out or becoming indifferent. It means learning to protect your emotional well-being while still blessing This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance, offering empathy and support. When you set healthy emotional boundaries, you create a balance between caring for others and caring for yourself. You can be compassionate without sacrificing your peace of mind. Why is this important? Without boundaries, you risk taking on emotional burdens that aren't yours. This can lead to emotional exhaustion, resentment, and even strained relationships. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we can care for others, we must remain in control of our own inner world. Epicus said it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that it can't know. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Offer. This wisdom applies not only to external events but also to the emotions of those around us. You can't control how others feel, but you can control how much you let their emotions affect you. The first step in mastering emotional boundaries is awareness. Start by noticing when you're taking on emotions that aren't yours. Ask yourself, am I feeling this way because of my own situation, or because I've absorbed someone else's emotions? Recognizing when you're crossing your emotional boundaries is key to regaining control. Next, practice master. Idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Assertive communication, setting boundaries, isn't about confrontation, it's about clarity. For example, if a friend frequently unloads their problems on you in a way that leaves you feeling drained, you might say, "I care about you and I want to support you, but I also need to take care of my own well-being. Let's talk, but can we keep it brief?" This approach shows empathy while clearly stating your limits. Another helpful strategy is to use visualization techniques. When you're in a situation where emotions are running high, imagine a protective barrier around yourself, something that means treated how emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Allows you to empathize without absorbing the emotional weight this mental practice helps reinforce. The idea that while you can care, you don't have to carry. Here's something practical you can do the next time you feel overwhelmed by someone else's emotions. Pause and take a deep breath. Mentally separate your feelings from theirs by saying to yourself, "Their emotions are theirs. I can care without carrying." Then, focus on grounding yourself, whether through breathing exercises, journaling, or taking a brief walk. Ask yourself, am I sacrifice? This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance my emotional well-being to support others. If the answer is yes, remind yourself that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you protect your emotional energy, you're in a better position to help others without burning out. It's also important to remember that boundaries may need reinforcement over time. Some people might not respect your boundaries right away, but that doesn't mean they aren't valid. Stay consistent. The more you practice setting and maintaining boundaries, the more others will learn to respect them, and the more powerful will be. The example dia becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper energy to support others. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. You'll respect yourself. Remember, mastering emotional boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-care. It allows you to show up fully for the people you care about without losing yourself in the process. You can be kind, empathetic, and supportive while still protecting your own peace. When you set clear emotional boundaries, you free yourself from the weight of emotions that aren't yours to bear, allowing you to live with greater clarity, balance, and inner strength. Lesson 6. Weighing the outcomes of separation. There are moments in life when distancing yourself from certain people or situations becomes necessary. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. As these idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper in your well-being. But making that decision isn't easy. It comes with doubts, emotions, and concerns about the potential consequences. Weighing the outcomes of separation is a crucial step in ensuring that you're making the right choice, not out of impulse or frustration, but with clarity and purpose. Distancing yourself can take many forms. It might mean ending a toxic relationship, leaving a draining job, or stepping away from a long-term friendship that no longer aligns with your values. Whatever the case, it's release easy form, but taking your big screw in someone his honor is exploring. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications. Essential to carefully evaluate how this separation will impact not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. The goal isn't to escape discomfort, it's to prioritize your growth, well-being, and peace of mind. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of intentional decision-making before taking action. The Stoics would reflect on whether a decision aligned with their values and long-term well-being. Steiner advised, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means that much of the fear this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Realist around separation is rooted in imagined worst-case scenarios. By weighing the real outcomes instead of fearing hypothetical ones, you can make more grounded, thoughtful choices. Here's how to approach weighing the outcomes. 1. Evaluate the emotional impact. Ask yourself, how does staying in this situation make me feel on a daily basis? If the answer is consistently negative, stress, anxiety, or a sense of being stuck, that's a strong indicator that creating distance might be beneficial. 2. Consider your long-term. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Steiner advised, "We suffer more often in imagination well-being. Reflect on whether this situation or relationship is helping you grow or holding you back. Will staying here support your future goals and happiness, or will it continue to drain your energy?" 3. Acknowledge potential losses. Every separation comes with some form of loss. It could be emotional, social, or even financial. Be honest with yourself about what you might lose, but also ask, is this loss worth the peace and clarity I'll gain? Sometimes short-term discomfort is necessary for long-term well-being. It's 3. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Also, important to remember that separation doesn't have to be absolute. In some cases, creating distance, rather than completely cutting ties, may be enough. For example, if a relationship is draining but not entirely toxic, you might choose to spend less time with that person or engage in fewer emotionally charged interactions. This allows you to protect your well-being without severing the relationship entirely. Here's something practical you can do. When faced with the decision to create distance, try a prosecurity. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. And Kahn's reflection, take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. On one side, list the benefits of staying in the situation or relationship. On the other list, the benefits of creating distance. Seeing these factors laid out visually can help clarify your decision. Ask yourself, am I staying because I genuinely want to, or because I'm afraid of the consequences of leaving? If fear is the primary reason, it's worth reconsidering. Often the fear of change is worse than the change itself. Once you take the step, you might find that this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance you feared. Wasn't as overwhelming as you imagined. Remember, weighing the outcomes of separation isn't about finding a perfect solution. It's about choosing the path that best supports your growth and well-being. No decision is without its challenges, but by taking the time to reflect and evaluate, you ensure that your choice is intentional and aligned with your values. Letting go is rarely easy, but it's often necessary. When you carefully weigh the outcomes and make a conscious decision to create distance, you open the door to a lighter mind. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. For your life, you make room for new opportunities, healthier relationships, and a version of yourself that thrives, unburdened by what no longer serves you. Lesson 7. Detoxing from social media. In an age where social media has become an integral part of daily life, it's easy to fall into the trap of constant scrolling, comparing, and consuming. While social media connects us to people and information, it also introduces a significant amount of digital noise, distractions, unrealistic comparisons, and even anxiety from endless updates. Detoxing from social media. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. From the floor towards, beneath in self, release from diseases, for example, becomes we seem that it's peer being powerful and releasing. Please were designs to release social media doesn't mean abandoning it altogether. It means creating space for clarity, focus, and genuine connection by limiting its grip on your life. The problem with excessive social media use is that it keeps your mind in a constant state of stimulation. Every notification, post, or like triggers a small dopamine hit, conditioning you to seek more over time. This can create a cycle of dependence, where moments of silence or stillness feel uncomfortable. But true peace of mind comes not from external stimulation. It comes from learning to be from moding, confrontatiously, and no body of realistic expansions. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on present, reflective, and content with yourself. Stoicism emphasizes the value of focusing on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must reclaim yourself for yourself. The world distracts you with many things. Focus on a few that matter and let the rest go." Social media can be a valuable tool, but without mindful use, it distracts you from what's meaningful, real relationships, inner peace, and personal growth. Detoxing from social media can take many forms. For some, it might mean taking a complete break for a few days or weeks. For others, this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. It could be as simple as setting time limits on daily usage or unfollowing accounts that don't add value to their lives. The goal isn't to eliminate social media remember, detox boxing from social media isn't about isolation, it's about reconnection. By reducing digital noise, you create space for deeper conversations, richer experiences, and greater peace of mind. You learn to be present in your own life rather than constantly watching the highlight reels of others. When you take control of how you engage with social media, you reclaim your time, your focus, and your inner calm. You free yourself from the constant comparison and distraction, allowing room for what truly matters, real connection. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Meaningful growth and the quiet, powerful moments that shape who you are. Lesson 8. Prioritizing your core needs in the rush of everyday life. It's easy to lose sight of what truly matters between work obligations, social commitments, and endless distractions. Your core needs, those things that nourish your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, often get pushed aside. But here's the truth. If you don't prioritize your core needs, no one else will. Learning to identify and prioritize what truly sustains you is essential. For this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Building a balanced and fulfilling life. Many people confuse wants with needs. While wants are temporary desires like entertainment, validation, or material possessions, your core needs are deeper. They're the things that keep you grounded, fulfilled, and energized. These could be things like meaningful relationships, time for self-reflection, creative expression, or even simple activities like getting enough sleep and spending time in nature. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is essential and to let go of what is needs. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Superfluous Epicus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom reminds us that true fulfillment doesn't come from chasing more, but from nurturing the essentials that sustain our inner well-being. To prioritize your core needs, start by asking yourself, what are the things that genuinely make me feel alive and at peace? These are often the things that, when neglected, leave you feeling drained or disconnected. For example, if quality time with loved ones is a core need for you, constantly prioritizing this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Work over relationships will eventually lead to feelings of isolation and dissatisfaction. Once you've identified your core needs, the next step is to make time for them intentionally. This might mean setting aside time each day for self-care, saying no to commitments that don't align with your values, or creating boundaries around your work and personal life. Remember, prioritizing your needs isn't selfish, it's necessary. When your needs are met, you're in a better position to show up fully for the people and responsibilities in your life. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. Simple exercise. Make a list of your top 5 core needs. Next to each one, write down one small action you can take this week to prioritize that need. For example, if one of your core needs is rest, your action might be committing to going to bed 30 minutes earlier each night. If another need is creativity, your action might be setting aside 1 hour to work on a personal project. The key is to start small and be consistent. Ask yourself, am I living in a way that honors my core needs, or am I by constantly sacrificing mine? This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. And your needs slide them for external demands. If it's the latter, remind yourself that no achievement or external validation can replace the sense of wholeness that comes from meeting your true needs. It's also important to let go of guilt when prioritizing your needs. Many people feel guilty when they take time for themselves, as if they're neglecting their responsibilities. But taking care of yourself isn't neglect. It's what allows you to fulfill your responsibilities without burning out. When you prioritize your well-being, you not only improve yourself, not Bernard. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom. If one of your core needs is to start small action your needs, this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. If I feel Jesus 1, that after 4 sense of wholeness over informal in the maturable money, when your own life, you also show up better for those around you. Remember, life isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. By prioritizing your core needs, you create a foundation of balance, strength, and inner peace. You stop chasing after things that don't fulfill you and start living in a way that nourishes your body, mind, and soul. When you make time for what truly matters, you don't just improve your quality of life. You become more present, more resilient, and more connected to your purpose. And that's when life becomes not. Enjoy lesson in 9. Embracing gratitude and the present moment in a world that constantly pushes us to want more success, more possessions, more recognition. It's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what's missing rather than what's already present. This endless pursuit often leads to feelings of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and restlessness. But there's a simple yet profound antidote to this: gratitude. When you learn to embrace gratitude and anchor yourself in the present moment, you shift your perspective from lack to abundance, from striving to being. Gratitude isn't this idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. All the creature too stood names, so you care about ignoring life's challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the good that already exists, even amidst difficulty. It's about appreciating the small moments, a kind word from a friend, a peaceful morning, or the fact that you have another day to grow and experience life. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you cultivate a mindset of abundance and peace. Stoicism places great emphasis on appreciating the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not dwell on the past or dream of the future, but concentrate the mind on the present." This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. The Stoics believe that true contentment comes not from what you achieve or acquire, but from fully experiencing the here and now. Gratitude is a way of grounding yourself in the present. It reminds you that despite life's imperfections, there's always something to be thankful for. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be complicated. One powerful method is to start or end your day by reflecting on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Sometimes the simplest things bring the greatest sense of peace over. This idea becomes even more powerful when we consider the deeper implications on emotional freedom and modern challenges. True growth often lies in the release, not the resistance. No idea tried to save time. This practice trains your mind to notice the good even when life feels overwhelming. Beyond gratitude, Embracing the present moment means letting go of past regrets and future worries. The past can't be changed, and the future is uncertain. What you have control over is the present, the choices you make, the actions you take, and the way you experience this very moment. When you let go of dwelling on what was or obsessing over what might be, you free yourself to fully live in the now. Here's something practical you can do the next time you fear rather than live is not fire and here. When G go into over, this idea becomes feel stressed or overwhelmed. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Look around you and find something, anything, you can appreciate in that moment. It could be the warmth of sunlight, the taste of your coffee, or even the strength you've shown in handling a difficult situation. This simple act of mindful gratitude helps ground you and brings a sense of calm to your mind. Ask yourself, am I focusing more on what's missing or what's already present? If you find that your mind often leans toward lack, make a conscious effort to shift toward gratitude. It's not about ignoring your goals or desires. It's about balancing them with appreciation for what you already have. Another way to stay present is by practicing mindfulness. Whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply being fully engaged in what you're doing, mindfulness helps you slow down and savor life's moments. It's about noticing the details, how the air feels on your skin, the sound of the wind, the texture of the food you're eating. These small acts of presence bring richness and depth to everyday life. Remember, life isn't lived in the past or the future. It's lived in the present. By embracing gratitude and staying anchored in the moment, you free yourself from the constant chase for more and find peace in what is. You realize that while life may never be perfect, it can still be beautiful when you take the time to notice and appreciate it. In the end, gratitude and presence aren't just practices, they're mindsets. When you cultivate them, you create a life filled with more joy, less anxiety, and a deeper connection to what truly matters. So take a moment, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what can I appreciate right now? You might be surprised by how much there is to be thankful for. Lesson 10. Cultivating flexibility and adaptability. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan or how hard you try to control outcomes, unexpected changes will always arise. It's in these moments when things don't go according to plan that your ability to adapt determines whether you thrive or suffer. Cultivating flexibility isn't about giving up on your goals or lowering your standards. It's about learning to adjust your approach. Stay calm in the face of uncertainty and find growth in every challenge. Many people resist change because it feels uncomfortable. We like stability, predictability, and control, but rigidity in the face of change creates unnecessary suffering. When you refuse to adapt, you cling to what was instead of embracing what is. This resistance often leads to frustration, anxiety, and a sense of helplessness. On the other hand, when you cultivate flexibility, you learn to flow with life's changes, finding new paths forward, even when things don't go as planned. Stoicism offers timeless wisdom on this topic. Epictetus taught as past to not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This idea highlights the importance of flexibility, not in avoiding change, but in mastering your response to it. When you accept that change is inevitable and learn to adapt with grace, you maintain your inner peace and clarity, no matter what life throws your way. Flexibility starts with shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing change as a threat, view it as an opportunity for growth. Every unexpected event, every setback holds a lesson, if you're willing to look for it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow through this challenge? This shift in perspective helps you stay open to new possibilities, rather than getting stuck in frustration over what didn't go according to plan. Another key to cultivating flexibility is developing emotional resilience. Life's changes often trigger strong emotions, fear, frustration, or disappointment. Instead of letting these emotions take over, practice pausing, acknowledging how you feel, and then choosing a response that aligns with your values. Emotional resilience doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means processing them in a healthy way while staying grounded and clear-headed. Here's something practical you can do when faced with an unexpected change. Practice the 3 A's. Accept, assess, adapt. 1. Accept that the change has happened. Resisting it won't undo it. 2. Assess the new situation. What are your options and what can you control? 3. Adapt by choosing the best course of action based on what's in your control. This simple framework helps you respond to change thoughtfully, rather than reacting impulsively out of fear or frustration. Ask yourself, am I clinging to something that no longer serves me? Or am I willing to adapt and move forward? If you find yourself resisting change, remind yourself that flexibility doesn't mean giving up. It means finding a new way to keep going. Life is constantly evolving, and your ability to evolve with it is what leads to lasting success and peace of mind. Cultivating flexibility also means being open to new perspectives and ideas. Sometimes we get stuck because we insist on doing things a certain way or believing that only one path will lead to success. But when you're willing to listen, learn, and try new approaches, you open doors to opportunities you might never have considered. Remember, flexibility isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to adjust without losing your sense of purpose. Just like trees that sway in the wind are less likely to snap during a storm. Those who cultivate flexibility are better equipped to handle life's inevitable ups and downs. In the end, life is a series of changes. By cultivating flexibility and adaptability, you learn to navigate those changes with confidence and grace. You stop fighting against what you can't control and start focusing on what you can. Your mindset, your actions, and your ability to keep moving forward. And in doing so, you create a life of resilience, growth, and lasting inner peace. Lesson 11. Fostering empathy and generosity. In a fast-paced world where everyone seems to be focused on personal goals and individual success, it's easy to forget the profound impact of empathy and generosity. Yet these two qualities have the power to not only transform your relationships, but also bring greater meaning and fulfillment to your life. Fostering empathy and practicing generosity aren't signs of weakness. They're expressions of inner strength and self-respect. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It goes beyond simply acknowledging someone's experience. It involves truly listening without judgment and offering genuine support. When you foster empathy, you strengthen your connections with those around you. People feel seen, heard, and valued, which fosters trust and deeper relationships. Stoicism often emphasizes personal resilience, but it also highlights the importance of contributing to the well-being of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What benefits the whole benefits the individual." In other words, by acting in ways that uplift others, you also uplift yourself. Empathy isn't just about helping others. It's about creating a world where mutual respect and compassion flourish, which benefits everyone, including you. Generosity, on the other hand, isn't just about giving material things. It's about giving your time, attention, kindness, and wisdom. True generosity comes from a place of abundance, not obligation. When you give freely, without expecting anything in return, you cultivate a mindset of abundance and reduce feelings of scarcity or lack. Here's something to reflect on. When was the last time I showed empathy or practiced generosity without expecting anything in return? These small acts, whether it's listening to a friend, helping a colleague, or simply offering a kind word to someone in need, create ripples that extend far beyond the moment. They uplift not only the person receiving but also the one giving. But fostering empathy and generosity doesn't mean neglecting your own well-being. In fact, empathy begins with yourself. If you're constantly giving without taking care of your own needs, you'll eventually feel drained and resentful. That's why it's important to practice self-compassion, being kind to yourself when you're struggling, forgiving yourself when you make mistakes, and treating yourself with the same empathy you offer others. Another powerful aspect of generosity is that it helps shift your focus outward. When you're caught up in your own worries, giving to others, whether it's through volunteering, mentoring, or simply being present, can help reduce anxiety and increase your sense of purpose. Generosity creates a cycle of positivity. The more you give, the more connected and fulfilled you feel. Here's something practical you can do each day. Look for one opportunity to practice a small act of empathy or generosity. It could be as simple as listening to someone without interrupting, offering help when you see someone struggling, or even just sending a thoughtful message to someone you care about. These small acts done consistently build a habit of empathy and generosity that strengthens your character and enriches your relationships. Ask yourself, am I approaching my interactions with empathy, or am I focused solely on my own perspective? If you find yourself slipping into self-centered thinking, pause and try to see things from the other person's point of view. This simple shift can transform the way you relate to others and foster deeper, more meaningful connections. Remember, fostering empathy and practicing generosity isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up with kindness and understanding in everyday moments. When you make empathy and generosity a core part of your life, you don't just improve your relationships, you cultivate a sense of purpose, fulfillment, and inner peace. In the end, what truly matters isn't how much you accumulate, but how much you contribute. By fostering empathy and practicing generosity, you create a life of connection, meaning, and lasting impact. You don't just live for yourself, you become a source of light and strength for those around you. And in doing so, you discover a deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment. Nourishing your mind and body in a world that constantly demands your attention, energy, and effort, it's easy to neglect the most important foundation of a fulfilling life, your mind and body. We often push ourselves to the limit, prioritizing external achievements over internal well-being, only to find that without proper care, our energy fades, our focus diminishes, and our peace of mind slips away. Nourishing your mind and body isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for living a balanced, resilient, and meaningful life. When you take care of your body, you're not just enhancing your physical health, you're also supporting your mental clarity, emotional stability, and overall sense of well-being. Exercise, proper nutrition, and rest aren't just physical acts. They directly influence how you feel, think, and respond to life's challenges. Seneca once said, "A sound mind in a sound body is a short but full description of a happy state in this world." The Stoics believed that a disciplined approach to caring for your body was essential for cultivating a strong mind. Nourishing your mind goes beyond simply consuming information. It's about feeding your mind with thoughts, ideas, and practices that promote growth and peace. This means being intentional about what you read, watch, and listen to. It means engaging in practices like mindfulness meditation and reflection that help calm your mind and strengthen your ability to focus. Start by asking yourself, what habits do I currently have that nourish my mind and body? And what habits might be draining me? Identifying these patterns is the first step toward creating a lifestyle that supports your well-being. For example, staying up late, scrolling through social media might seem harmless, but over time it can disrupt your sleep, drain your energy, and leave your mind cluttered. On the other hand, prioritizing rest, exercise, and quiet time for reflection can have a profound impact on your mood, productivity, and resilience. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to nourish your body is through movement. This doesn't have to mean intense workouts at the gym. It could be a morning walk, stretching, or any form of physical activity that gets your blood flowing and your energy levels up. Regular movement not only improves your physical health, but also releases endorphins, which boost your mood and reduce stress. Equally important is nutrition. The food you consume is the fuel your body and mind run on. Eating a balanced diet rich in whole, unprocessed foods provides your brain with the nutrients it needs to function at its best. It's not about being perfect with your diet. It's about making small, consistent choices that support your long-term health. When it comes to nourishing your mind, quiet time and reflection are key. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, taking time each day to be still, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply sitting quietly helps clear your mind and strengthens your ability to stay present. These moments of stillness allow you to process your thoughts, release tension, and reconnect with what truly matters. Here's something practical you can do each day. Commit to one small act that nourishes your mind and one that nourishes your body. It could be as simple as reading a chapter of a book that inspires you, practicing deep breathing for 5 minutes, or preparing a healthy meal. Over time, these small acts compound, creating a lifestyle that supports your well-being. Ask yourself, am I treating my mind and body with the respect they deserve? Now start today, remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's what allows you to show up fully in life, for both yourself and those you care about. In the end, your mind and body are your most valuable assets. When you nourish them consistently, you cultivate a life of strength, clarity, and inner peace. You equip yourself to handle life's challenges with resilience and grace. By making your well-being a priority, you don't just live, you thrive. And that's when life truly becomes rich, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about creating space for something better. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of what no longer serves you, whether it's people, situations, habits, or even outdated versions of yourself. When you let go of what holds you back, you gain clarity, peace, and the ability to move forward with intention. In this episode, we explored 12 powerful lessons on how to let go and create a life of greater balance and fulfillment. From unlocking the power of detachment to nourishing your mind and body, each lesson offers practical way to reclaim your energy and refocus on what truly matters. Life is filled with constant change, but by learning to let go with grace and strength, you empower yourself to face those changes without fear. Why does this matter? Because clinging too tightly to people, expectations, or even past versions of ourselves only leads to frustration and suffering. But when you learn to let go, you discover a deeper sense of freedom and inner peace. You stop being a prisoner to what's beyond your control and start living with greater purpose and presence. Here's something to reflect on. What is one thing I'm ready to let go of today? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be a small thought, a minor frustration, or an unnecessary habit. Every small step toward letting go creates a ripple effect, helping you cultivate a life that feels lighter, freer, and more aligned with your values. Remember, letting go is a practice, not a one-time event. It takes courage, patience, and self-compassion. But with each quiet release, you make room for growth, connection, and a life of greater joy. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. And if you feel inspired, share it with someone who might benefit from it. Let's spread the wisdom of letting go and create a community of individuals who are ready to embrace life with clarity, peace, and purpose. Until next time, stay strong, stay intentional, and importantly, keep letting go of what no longer serves you so you can make room for what truly matters.